In this video, let us try to clarify the concept of matrix through a demo Java program. So first, in order to do that, I have created a class called demo matrix, and I already defined the main function over here. And inside this main function, I am going to show you the demo code for declaring, initializing, and populating a matrix with some value. In order to better understand the code, I will start writing from a one-dimensional array, and then I will convert it to two-dimensional array so that you can easily see the difference. So what am I doing? So let us first define a one-dimensional array. So how am I going to do that? In order to let us say that I want to declare an integer type one-dimensional array. I hope you all can remember from the previous video. So what I need to write first, the data type is int, then an opening and closing set of box bracket. After that, the name of the array and the one-dimensional array, or let's call it just for better understanding, 1D array, and like this way. And after that, what we did is we have just put all the elements inside. So we have used a new keyword and then int, and inside int we have opening, and after int we have another opening and closing set of box bracket, and after that inside this opening and closing curly brace I have to put all the element, let's say 5, 9, 6 and 22. So these are all the elements in an array. Now let us try to um, try to initialize a matrix. I will keep this definition in the beginning of the code so that you can easily see the difference. So since matrix means a two-dimensional array, uh, it should have, after the declaration of the data type, after the data type specification, you have to use two sets of opening and closing box bracket. And for matrix, let's call it matrix 1. Instead of calling it 1D array, I am calling it a matrix, or you can call it 2D array or any name of your choice. Now after that, what you need to do, equals, then the same way this new, and after that int once again, and then these two sets of opening and closing box brackets. So can you see the difference? Like in one dimensional array we have one set of opening and closing box bracket, but in matrix or two-dimensional array I have two sets of opening and closing box bracket. And now inside this opening and close, after this opening and closing box bracket in here, you have to specify the entire matrix. So this is the opening, and this set of opening and closing box bracket basically indicates the container space for to store all the elements inside the matrix. So in order for better understanding, since a visual table looks like two-dimensional, so let us try to give it a, make it a little bit visually aesthetic, instead of, or better readable program, instead of making everything in the same line, I am going to put it in a different line. So this, and I will indent it properly so that you can easily understand this box bracket, sorry, this curly brace is actually for the entire matrix. So that is it. So here is the beginning and here is the end. Now inside this entire matrix, as I have discussed earlier, there are several a set of rows, so every set of rows should be like this. So this is stands for, let's say, row 0, then another set of opening and closing curly brace, I'm sorry, so it should be a comma, then here also it should be a comma, and then it should stand for row 1, then the next set it will stand for, let's say, row 2, like this. And now after you declare this format in this way, now you can easily visualize the matrix, right? You can easily visualize the table. Now it's all about populating the table with some data. So let's make the first row same as our one-dimensional array. Let's say 5, 9, 6, and then 22. And after that, let's say some arbitrary set of numbers. Let's call it like again 6, then let's say 35, then 49, then let's say 100, something like that. Any random numbers, I'm just putting it. And then let's say it is 8, 702, 72, then let's call it 769, or then let's say this is 86, some numbers. So row 0 has 5, 9, 6, 2, 6, 35, 49, 100, row 1, and row 2 has all the elements like 5, 72, 769, 86. Now once again, you can club all these lines together in the same line. You really do not need to spend like 5, 6, 7, 8, so 4 or 5 different lines for that. But this is to give you the real like visual, this is to make a better readable. You can easily now connect it, you can easily visualize the table or the matrix in your code also. So that is it. Now this is how you can declare the matrix, and let us see whether this syntax is accepted or not. So let us do a system.out.print, and let's do like syntax accepted. Okay, and so if there is any syntactical error in this line, it will throw me a syntax error here, otherwise it will print syntax accepted. And well, before, in order to just focus on the matrix, let me just comment out the one-dimensional array part. So let's see what this program gives me as output. So as you can see, this is how you can declare a matrix. Now, well, you really do not need to do like only row 0, 1, and 2. You can have any number of rows or any number of columns. For example, let's say if I want to add another row, let's call it row 3. So what you need to do, you have to first you have to put a comma inside after row 2, and then this opening and closing curly brace which stands for row 3 over here. And let us put some random number here. Let's call it 700, then 500, then let's say 40, and after that let's say 1, something like that. You can put any number, and now this matrix actually has 4 different rows: row 0, row 1, row 2, and row 3. And so let us see whether this program runs properly or not, just by adding one row. If I just run it, as you can see, it is giving me syntax accepted. Also the same way, let's say if you want to add another column over here. So let's say just by using a comma inside each row, you want to add extra column. Let's say the in first row you added 30, in the next row you added 40, in the next row you added 50, and then in the next row you added 60, something like this. And now let us try to run it. So this time you have like 4 different rows and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different columns. Let us see whether this is also accepted or not. So if I just run it, as you can see, the syntax is accepted, and this is how you can declare, initialize, and populate the matrix with some real data item. So this is how you can do all these things.